Bum 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 bum. The Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm once again depressed over the situation here in Phoenix, or perhaps more generally in the United States, and I am once again thinking about leaving the United States for Ukraine. And once again, I almost got hit by a pickup truck. I went out for my daily walk. I like to take a walk every night to unwind and before I go to bed. And this truck driver makes a left turn without ever looking anywhere. And one of the most terrifying feelings you can ever get as a pedestrian is you got to run and because this truck isn't going to look at you or see you or do anything. And it happens in your car as well. Oh my God, I got to hit the gas, right? This guy's making a left turn. And he doesn't have a care in the world, right? And unfortunately, I run into both of these, both in the car and as a pedestrian, day in and day out. I would say at least once a week, I run into one of these situations. Sometimes in my car, sometimes walking. They're both equally terrifying and both equally depressing, I want to say. They make you lose hope in humanity every time it happens. It's not even about, oh my God, I almost got killed. It's more like, oh my God, this is the community that I live around, right? And then I have another depressing weekend trying to look for opponents for Ticket to Ride Berlin. And unfortunately, this is where I wish a little reciprocation could go a long way, right? During the holiday season, I guarantee you next month there's going to be a lot of colleagues of mine who need me to fill in for a class, need me to proctor a final exam. They want to go home early. Their kids want to go to Disney World. I guarantee there's going to be a lot of that. And I don't have a problem with dealing with that. Why don't you play Ticket to Ride with me? I would so much love to say that. That probably isn't going to flow, given our culture at the workplace, right? But it would really be a win-win situation. I don't have a problem staying during Christmas week. In fact, I'm not a big fan of Christmas travel. It's high stress. A lot of, your airports are going to be crowded. Your tourist destinations are going to be crowded. Your favorite restaurant might not be open, or it's going to be crowded. You certainly can't go to the board game meetup and network with people. Nobody's going to go to that on Christmas Day, right? So staying around during Christmas is not the end of the world to me, actually. I would so much love to, or I would so much not mind doing that. The problem is that I get nothing in return often. I would so much love to do that and then play Ticket to Ride Berlin with my colleagues or with whoever, right? And unfortunately, I hope to get that out of it. I really do. But I don't think this kind of discussion is going to flow too well. Hey, my kids would like to go to Disney early. Could you proctor this final for me? I would. Would you play Ticket to Ride Berlin? I don't think that's going to go very well with our culture, right? I've never seen it done before. I filled in for a colleague during the Halloween holiday. My colleague went trick-or-treating with her kids, which is very nice. I've seen her kids a few times in the office. It was just very sorrowful because the next day I didn't have anybody to play Ticket to Ride with, right? And I had a bad experience at Tech University back in Seattle. At Washington Tech, I had filled in. Well, actually, I donated a bunch of vacation time to a colleague of mine, and she had to take care of her nephew because her sister had gotten COVID-19. And, I don't have a problem with her taking care of her nephew. I'll probably never be in that boat, right? I don't plan to have kids. I think my brother is more or less solosexual as well, which is what makes all of this very sad, right? When both of us pass, I don't know who I'm going to leave all my bismuth to, right? And so that's why I've been trying to play Ticket to Ride with some people so that I can network with somebody to leave my bismuth to, right? Although chances are it will just be a life partner without any children anyway, but that person might have a family, so who knows. And that's the culture we live in here in the United States. Now, over in Ukraine, I cannot imagine people driving as carelessly. Over in Poland, I've never been to Ukraine, but I've been to Poland, and I wasn't far from Ukraine either when I was there. Driving, people respect it, right? See, I got a friend who works at a shooting range, and he gives me all these bullets to melt, right? Bullets that in a past life used to be polonium-210, right? Although more and more, because lead is so frowned upon now, more and more bullets are now made of stuff that will become rat poison in 20 billion years, that is, right? And so he gives me stuff like that to melt. And now when I visited the shooting range a few times, when people pick up a gun and aim it, they respect it, right? It's a deadly weapon. One misstep, you could accidentally kill yourself, kill somebody else, or injure somebody, right? And people respect it. But that same respect we don't hold to our cars. And I think you're much more likely to accidentally kill yourself with a car than with a gun, right? Right? So I don't know why the attitude. I suppose because most people need a car to get to their jobs, right? Most people don't use a gun on their job, right? And only a small percentage of people do, right? So I think there's a little bit of a disconnect or a little bit of a desensitization of it, right? Always remind yourself, every time you open that driver's seat door, I am about to use a very deadly weapon, right? Just like you would at a shooting range, right? Always remind yourself that, right? And over in Ukraine, I would imagine it's a lot easier to network with people, right? So I'm once again thinking about moving to Ukraine, and unfortunately, I recently, as you guys have been following, I've been working on some nuclear or chemistry experiments, really, to isolate some radioactive material out of household dust. And unfortunately, everybody just thinks I'm crazy about it. Nobody will network with me over that. I even, I made some videos. I posted on some Facebook discussion boards. Hey, anybody want to discuss this? I have an idea of how to use acid to get the radioactive material out of household dust. Everybody just thinks I'm crazy. And I would imagine over in Ukraine I could potentially meet somebody else to do this with. I mean, we can discover some nuclear RTGs. Maybe find a new element that we can name after Ukraine. Or Ukraine doesn't have an element named after it yet. Right. All right, I'm once again feeling dissatisfied with our society, and it's making me very depressed, and especially with how people drive and how people interact with each other. And I still haven't played Ticket to Ride Berlin yet. It's been 6 months since I bought the game. I don't know what to do, right? And I would so much love to fill in for my colleagues during Christmas time. After all, them taking care of their kids is just as important as me playing Ticket to Ride Berlin or me networking with people to come up with nuclear energy. But at the same time, it's not a two-way street, right? And that makes me really sad. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.